So every October, as it gets closer to Halloween, I like to try to find some time to read a Junji Ito manga because as far as I'm concerned, he is one of the best horror manga creators out there and he has a ton of stories. Of all the ones I've read so far, Uzumaki, Hellstar Remina, Tomie, his Frankenstein adaptation, No Longer Human, I've enjoyed every single one of them. But this year, I decided to do something a little bit different and I read the book called Shiver, which is not a longer, more extended fleshed out story, but instead a collection of 10 short stories in one. Of all the stuff that I've read from Junji Ito so far, tended to lean towards his longer form storytelling as opposed to the short stories. So this was something new, different, and I thought I'd change it up a little bit this year, After reading it though, I do gotta say that I definitely do prefer his longer stories. And look, longer stories give you a chance to do a whole lot more. You can flesh out the characters a lot more. You can give them legitimate arcs. You can expand on the ideas and the lore that you're trying to present. With the short stories, although I did like a lot of these, a lot of them did feel like he had one kind of general premise and it was like, here it is, and then immediately it was over, But each and every one of these short stories could definitely be adapted into a longer form. Like every single one, as I'm reading it, I'm thinking, man, there's so much you could do. Like there's so much potential with every single individual idea that you could definitely expand each of these 10 stories pretty much to being its own full-length manga. So I don't know if he ever plans to kind of like go back to the well or look through stuff that he's done before, or if this was just an opportunity to get out some fleeting ideas that he had and put them out into the world and create more creepy stories for us to read. But I'm going to go not super in-depth in all of them, but I'm going to kind of go through all of them, tell you my opinions, what I thought about them, and tell you which ones were my favorite and which ones were not so much my favorite. The first one is called Used Record, and right away I felt that Junji Ito style, not just with the artwork itself, but he usually tends to write horror stories about characters that kind of slowly go a little bit mad over time, or they get obsessed about something. Like all of Uzumaki, pretty much has tons of characters being obsessed about the spiral and the curse of the spiral and everything. He does a very, very good job at portraying a character getting hyper focused and hyper obsessed over something to the point where they lose their mind. And I feel like this one is no different. So there is a record that two friends are listening to, and it has this strange song and melody on it that can't really be described other than it's just beautiful and haunting and alluring and just something magical about the singing voice on this record. And it causes two friends to fight with each other. One friend steals the record. As the other friend comes and chases them down, one ends up killing the other one. So it just gets crazier and crazier as time goes on. And what you find out, minor spoilers in this video, by the way, what you come to find out is that the song on the record was sung by somebody who had passed away. So this is a song from death, song from the other side, and that's why it's so unique and individual and so alluring to people. And I thought that was a really creepy concept, just this idea of this song, this melody that people sing after their death. And throughout the course of the story, you see other people that have died begin to kind of hum the melody as well. And so it's like this known song that exists only after death, can only be sung after death, and maybe can only be appreciated after death. I thought that was a really cool, creepy concept, and again, something that you could probably expand into a full-length story. The next story is called Shiver, which the entire collection is named after, and this one was not what I expected it to be. So here we have characters that are mysteriously getting holes in their body, and immediately I thought of Uzumaki with the spirals, but this is a little bit different, where the holes are causing, air to flow in and out of your body, and it makes you colder and colder, hence the name Shiver. There is a lot of creepy imagery in this one where a character sees a girl next door and he notices the holes in her arm, and he also remembers how his grandfather was filled with holes as well, and there's a conspiracy kind of connecting the two, as well as a character showing up and knocking on his window where you see the full effect of all the holes growing in his body with his eye kind of like falling falling out of his eye socket and everything. And again, it's one of those stories where I feel like this really could be its own manga, where he has a character trying to uncover this conspiracy about this strange disease, this strange things that's happening to people with them just getting holes throughout their entire body and still surviving to a degree. It wasn't bad. It was, like I said, I feel like I wish there was more to it. You know, it feels like it sets something up and then it just immediately ends, and I always want a little bit more. But I mean, that's one of the testaments to great writing, right? It's like always leave them wanting more. But yeah, this one was interesting. I didn't mind it. The next one is called Fashion Model, and this one was very strange in the sense that there really was no twist whatsoever. So essentially, you have a character that picks up a magazine, is looking through it, and he sees like the most disgusting looking person as a model ever. I mean, beauty's subjective, so who knows? But he's like, what the hell? Like, how is this gross, nasty looking person a model? And it begins to haunt him. Again, with Junji Ito portraying characters that get super obsessive over things. Like, I can't stop thinking about this weird, creepy model I saw in this magazine. And then as the story goes on, him and his friends are making a film, and they cast actors, they cast models in the film, and one of them ends up being this really creepy model. And so now he sees her again, he starts freaking out, and everything seems to be okay other than the fact that she's just like this nasty looking person. And I was expecting some kind of crazy twist, but it's really very straightforward. But the model turns out to be a monster or creature of some sort and eats the other girl in the film so that she can be the protagonist. So am I assuming that she's eaten and killed the other models so that she is the model? I don't really know with this one. It was so straightforward that it actually, I think that in and of itself is the twist of this story. It's like, the twist of this story is that there's no twist. She's just a monster. The next one, Hanging Blimp. This is also a very strange one that I feel like Junji Ito just had this one idea but couldn't make an entire story out of it, so we get this. And yeah, so this town is kind of haunted by these giant floating heads that look like people in the town that hang these nooses and ropes down below them and go after the people that the heads look like and have them hung. Basically, at first, like, it seems like somebody committed suicide, but then they looked closer and there's actually like this giant ghost head with this rope that hangs down that's grabbing people, and everybody slowly, periodically gets grabbed, and one girl's like trapped in her house and she's trying not to go outside, and they're speaking to her outside the doors, and they're sounding like her loved ones and stuff. Like, kind of remind me a little bit of like the Vincent Price Last Man on Earth, where he's inside the house and everyone's like, you know, banging on the house telling him to come out. Except here, instead of vampires, they're giant floating ghost heads that make you hang yourself. The next one is called Marionette Mansion, and this is once again taking a simple premise of something that's creepy and then just turning it into a short story. And in this case, it is puppets. Or being controlled like a puppet. It kind of switches back and forth, where you have a character that's from this traveling group of performers that, you know, specialize in being puppeteers and everything. And he meets this girl when he's young, but they're always traveling. So he, you know, loses touch with her until many years later, where he's grown up doing his own thing. He meets the girl again. Things are good. But then he goes over to his brother's house, and his brother is strung up by strings, being controlled, but absolutely loves it and says it's like the greatest thing ever. And they're doing performances, and one of the little girls that he brings along like wants to be a puppet, and so they turn her into a puppet. And then obviously at some point the puppets start killing everybody, and at the very end, you know, it's like every bit of humanity of him is lost, and he is now completely a puppet. And there may be some commentary there about not making your own choices for yourself and just allowing something else to do it for you, and then kind of finding the beauty in that you don't have to think, you don't have to be a human being, you can just let yourself go and then just be this kind of performer, you know, putting on a performance for the world, which you know, also might be one of the themes of the story, where it, you know, sometimes it does feel like you're always putting on a performance for people and it's not the real you. I don't know what's going on. There's crazy puppets. Now, the next one actually was a very pleasant surprise. One of my favorites. It's called Painter, and this actually includes the return of Tomie. Oh, and by the way, I want to say, when I reviewed Tomie, the manga, a few years ago, I pronounced the name Tomi. But listen, I've never heard the name spoken out loud when I read that book, and it's spelled Tomie. So, can you blame me for saying Tomi? I'm sorry. I don't speak Japanese. I didn't recognize the name. I apologize. I wish I could go back and change it, but unfortunately, the review is done. It's edited. It's out there, and I say Tomi the entire review, and half the comments are raking me over the coals for saying Tomi. But listen, I didn't know how it was pronounced, man. I sounded it out how it was spelled, and I'm sorry. Anyways, Tomie returns in this short story and again makes somebody hyper obsessive about her, going into that classic Junji Ito trope that is done very, very well, especially in this story. So yes, it does involve a painter that paints this beautiful woman, but then he sees Tomie, and he's just struck by her gorgeousness, and he wants to paint her, and she, dismisses the other model he was using and wants him to capture her beauty. And so he tries, and it doesn't work out very well. She doesn't like it. She gets upset. She goes away, and now this painter is once again falling in love, falling under the obsessive nature of what Tomie is and how it draws people in. And so he's trying, and he's painting all these different paintings of Tomie, trying to get it right, until she finally gives him another chance, and he goes to paint her again and creates an image that looks like this. And once she hates that version, his obsession drives him to madness, and he supposedly murders Tomie. But as we all know, that's not going to last for very long. And the last image is this truly disgusting page with all of these different pieces of Tomie regrowing and regenerating, and the painter slowly realizing that he is going to die this agonizing death without realizing the potential of painting his muse. Next story is called The Long Dream, and this one was actually my favorite of the entire book. The reason why is pretty much the premise. So you have a character in a hospital here who is admitting that every time that he goes to sleep, his dreams are lasting longer and longer. And this is this really, really terrifying concept. Like, imagine like going into a dream and you're in a nightmare or something, and you know that you're in a dream and you can't wake up, but the dream lasts so long. And there's already we already know that your perception of time while you're sleeping, while you're dreaming, is different than being awake. There's like the movie Inception, where every layer of the dream lasts longer and longer and longer. I don't know if that was like an inspiration for this or not, but they talk about how like DiCaprio and his wife, their characters lived this entire life in this dream before they woke up and were suddenly thrown back into their younger bodies. This has a similar concept, but different, where this character says that every time he falls asleep, his dreams are lasting longer and longer. His dream lasted an entire year, and then he goes to sleep again, and his dream lasts 10 years, and he wakes up. And at first, it's like he recognizes what's happening, but as time goes on and he spends more and more time in the dream world, he wakes up and he can't even remember, the last time he was in this hospital bed was so long ago, then that doesn't even seem real. And the difference here too is that his body is sort of deteriorating more and more, or aging, or some kind of supernatural aging that's going on here. But whatever the case, I thought that concept and that idea of when you go to sleep, you're just trapped in this dream world for such a long time, that's a terrifying idea, and again, could make a great expanded full manga or story, or a movie or anything. Really, really creepy. The next one, Honored Ancestors. This one I thought was a little bit goofy. So a girl at first doesn't seem to have any memory of what's going on. And there's a little bit of a mystery with that, but then all of a sudden it shifts. Then she's hanging out with her boyfriend or fiance, and he's got a really creepy dad in the house that's crawling around backwards for whatever reason. But then they see that the dad, his skull is connected to all of the skulls from their entire lineage, bestowing knowledge and memories and all of that kind of stuff. And I guess she lost her memories as a result of hanging around this person, these things. And he wants her to bear him a son so that they can kind of continue this lineage, because his dad's going to pass away and he needs to be the next in line or something. So it's kind of like this cursed fate, but at the same time, he wants it to happen. I don't know. This was the only one that kind of took me out a little bit. Probably my least favorite. Then the next one, Greased Oil. This one, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. It's really just It's this house that is filled with oil that is dripping everywhere, and there's two siblings, and the brother is drinking oil every night. This one is pretty much like the gross out chapter of the collection, where it's just trying to be as nasty as possible, where there's just this like never-ending grease and sliminess to everything, and the character keeps drinking grease. Fluids are flowing out of his face and everything. It's just like a complete, total gross out chapter of the entire book. And the last one, called Cursed Fame, is about another model. And this one only wants full body photos taken of her because for some reason she has this weird compulsion where she doesn't like seeing pictures of herself with pieces of her body cut off. It's just like a weird like tick that she has. And so she became a model and was like, but I'll only show all of my body because I don't want any piece cut off. But then in a shocking twist, being a model, she runs in to the creepy monster model from earlier. So it's a story that actually connects to an earlier story. And this model basically has her live her greatest fear and her greatest torment, where she cuts her body into pieces. Like that was like the fear, like the subconscious fear of seeing photos of herself with pieces of her body cut off. Well, the monster just rips her apart and has her face her darkest nightmares of literally having her body ripped apart. So again, it's just a monster. I don't know, but now it's appeared in 2 stories, and I kind of want to see more of it. So whatever this creepy model is, if it appears in more Junji Ito stuff, let me know, because now I'm invested. Now, also, seeing the chapter with Tomie, can we have a crossover? Is there something that could happen here? I don't know. Junji Ito shared universe? I'm thinking too hard into this. But anyways, I thought Shiver was fun. Definitely my least favorite Junji Ito that I've read. But this is a different kind of story than what I've read before, where I've read his longer, more in-depth stories, and now this is a collection of shorts. They're not going to be as in-depth or as expansive as his other stuff is, but I still think there is some really good stuff here. There's some really creepy stuff here. Definitely think The Long Dream was my favorite, followed by the Tomie Return one. And now I kind of like this creepy monster model person as well. So yeah, let me know if you've read this collection and what other Junji Ito stuff I should check out. Always like to read one around Halloween time. But thank you guys for watching, man. Give the video a thumbs up and a like. Let me know if you cared about it. Let me know what you think of the short stories and what was your favorite, or you can go ahead and rank all 10, whatever you guys want to do. Appreciate you guys watching, man. Thank you very much. Give it a like and comment. I'll talk to you next time.